Firstly, to start off, why did you decide to introduce Bessie to the students of Newcastle Uni?
Gosh, it's quite a few years ago now. It's probably about 3.5 years ago. The sabbatical officers at the time, along with the wellbeing team, were trying to promote something called 5 Ways to Wellbeing. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
We were looking at the Economics Foundation did this great piece of work many years ago, and they did some research to look at essentially, instead of what makes people who have poor mental health well, let's look at what people who have fairly stable and good mental health stay well. Yeah.
Okay.
And we all have mental health concerns to different degrees in the same way we've got physical health concerns. But, what Lord Layard called the worried well, people that are functioning but still, struggling with day-to-day problems, but still sort of getting up, paying the bills and going to uni and going to work. And they discovered that most people who are fairly okay with their mental health are engaging in one of the 5 ways to mental well-being. Yeah. So basically, what have you not got that's fab at home that we could try and replicate here? Because lots of students were saying, I was okay at home, and actually it was when I came to uni that the challenge, once the sort of novelty wore off, that's when my mental health wasn't brilliant. Not that they were mentally ill, but their mental health could be improved. And so we asked them, or the sabbatical officers asked them, and the top 3 things they came back with was access to musical instruments. Who knew? Yes, I know. I was quite fascinated. The other thing students said that they missed that they couldn't get at uni was a roast Sunday lunch. And the third thing they said was access to pets. So we went back to the group of students and we said, are you talking about therapy dogs? And they went, no, I don't need a therapy dog. I don't need to come in an individual therapeutic. Just the kind of, we call it vitamin N, vitamin nature, just the access to something lovely. We looked at what other universities were doing. Some of them brought paid therapy dogs in. Some of them had an unusual system. It was about 15 grand a year, where they paid a professional company to bring in dogs, and the students could accompany the dog walkers with the dogs, but the students couldn't hold the leads for health and safety reasons. And I was a bit like, some of our students are learning how to do liver transplants, their third and fourth. I think they can hold a dog's lead. So, and that's how Bessie came about. Long answer, but it's got a big amount. What's behind it is a kind of a big story around the 5 ways to wellbeing and really listening to what students wanted. And Bessie was the answer. When we talk about wellbeing dogs have a therapeutic effect, just like a nice sunrise has a therapeutic effect, or looking at your sparkly lights, or whatever it is for you that you experience as therapeutic. That's what they are. I mean, you might not experience Bessie as therapeutic because you might absolutely hate dogs. So a lot of students, it's not even so much about distracting people. So some people have said they take Bessie out and they do talk to her. They'll walk around Exhibition Park, or they'll take her over the town mall. I mean, the town mall's massive. It's larger than Hampstead Heath in London, for God's sake. And they'll talk, when they're out of the eye shot of people, they'll talk to her. And the great thing is she'll listen, she'll never interrupt.
With kind of the huge impact the pandemic has had on students' mental health, have you seen a rise in the interest of the Borrow Bessie scheme as a result of COVID?
Yes and no, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the no bit first. We had to really turn down the promotion of Bessie during COVID because of the transmission of COVID, like holding a lead. And there was also kind of concern is, can pets transmit COVID? So during the height of the pandemic, and if this variant continues to grow, we may unfortunately have to do that. So Bessie was furloughed for a wee bit. But to think about Bessie's wellbeing, we still brought her onto campus because some of the wellbeing staff, including myself, we were on campus every day. So we took her in to keep her routine.
So with the process of like you bringing Bessie to campus, how many walks does she get from students on a daily basis?
If she's fully booked, twice a day.
Okay. So what are the benefits you've seen so far from introducing a dog to the wellbeing department?
So I think the thing is that, like I say, we have with the constant caveat, not everybody likes dogs. Staff like Bessie, so staff will stop me and say, oh, I've just had a really difficult meeting, come here Bessie, let me give you a cuddle. That literally happened the other day. Staff just like her. I think just she's a cute little presence. I think the type of dog she's very small, there's a cuteness to her. Does that make sense? Because there are already dogs on campus. We've got a number of assistance dogs already. One of our counsellors has an assistance dog. So there's plenty of dogs on campus, but they tend to be professional assistance dogs, and people try not to engage with them because they know that they're working dogs. Whereas the point of Bessie is for her to engage with you and for you to engage with her. The benefits I've noticed is people speak to you more. They tend to stop you and say hello, or they say hello to Bessie first, then they say hello to me. And students have reported the same, that strangers are more likely to approach them on campus. So I think just connectivity has increased, and we've lost that human connectivity because of COVID.
Would you, because not many, out of my research, not many universities have a campus dog. It's more just like schools have school dogs. So would you recommend to other universities, to get a campus dog?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really matters whether it's a school or campus dog. I guess if it's a school-based dog, it depends on the parameters. So if it's a school-based dog that only students from that school can access, that then sets up a disparity of access for students, and that feels a bit meany. You know, I think if one school offers it to their students, then I think every school should. And I think not every school has the resources or the facilities to do that, which is why a central pooch is probably a good thing, because it allows all students to access a dog as opposed to a school-based one or a college-based one.
Okay.
You know, there is a bit of a kind of blanket view that dogs on campus or animals on campus are great for everybody. They're not. Some people, for cultural or religious reasons or personal experience, are terrified of dogs. So we had to really consider how we could give students access to Bessie, but without distressing other students or insulting them. You know, if for cultural or religious reasons that they think dogs are unclean or dirty or germ spreaders. So it took quite a while to sort of set Bessie up. We encourage people to walk Bessie in more than one. We don't insist, but we like people to go in pairs. This is thinking of pre-COVID, because it's about the 5 ways to well-being, and the 5 ways to well-being, one of them is connecting with others. And so we think if you go in pairs, you're connecting with others. You're taking exercise, you're noticing nature, because, you know, Bessie's a creature. So I think the primary benefits have been around students physically getting out and about, especially since we've spent nearly 2 years sitting looking at screens. But for me, it's seeing joy on students' faces, and you know, them staying when they come back. It's so helpful. A lot of students who are already in therapy, she's almost like an adjunct that their counsellor has said, look, have you considered taking Bessie? And then they've reported to their therapist a real elevation in their mood.
Wow, that's amazing. It seems like Bessie really brings everyone together who wants to use the service.
Yeah, who wants to. And we have to, like I say, I'm constantly aware that it's not a system everybody wants.
Yeah.